There are thousands of musical instruments in the world. Some are very familiar to us, like the piano and the violin, while others can be identified with a specific country, nationality, or region. Here we can see the most representative musical instruments of the Han nationality of China. They are the yangqin, the Chinese hammered dulcimer, the gujian, the Chinese zither, the pipa, the Chinese lute. This one is called the erhu, a two-stringed bowed fiddle. Liu Tianhua was a master of this instrument. He was a famed performer and composer here in China. Liu Tianhua was born in 1895. The year China was defeated in the First Sino-Japanese War, and the Qing court was forced to sign the Treaty of Shimonoseki, which ceded territories to Japan, including Taiwan.
Jiangyin is an ancient town in southern China. About 10 kilometers from its north gate stands a mountain with remarkable landscapes and flocks of chirping birds, the Xiong Mountain. In his childhood, Liu Tianhua and his elder brother, Liu Bannong, would often play on the mountain, which later became famous because of these two brothers. Liu Bannong wrote a book of poems called The Whips. Liu Tianhua created an erhu composition called Chirping Birds in a Desolate Mountain.
刘天华，他用非常中国式的五声音阶这样的音乐语言的选法，和西洋的分解和弦式的这样的一种选法融合在一块儿，没有痕迹。同时呢，他大胆地借鉴了很多突破性的一些小提琴的演奏的技法，对高把位的演奏的这种开拓，还有他的轮指模仿鸟叫的这样的滑音这些新的技巧，都使得整首作品非常的精到。那么也为我们用音乐描摹出了具有中国诗意的空山不见人，但闻鸟语声的这样的诗情画意。用2根弦的一件乐器，或把一个空山幽谷、百鸟鸣转的这样的一个大千世界、天地自然能够展现出来。我想这是中国音乐、中国文化当中独有的一种天地情怀。
Liu Tianhua was born to a poor family. His father, Liu Baoshan, was a scholar who both ran and taught in a private school in the family's old house. The elder brother, Liu Bannong, was his father's pride. Believed a child prodigy, he could compose poems and couplets at 6 years old. Liu Tianhua, however, loved music. Jiangyin is the longest and most narrow river mouth on the southern bank of the lower reaches of the Yangtze River. It has a highly mobile population, along with a wide range of folk, opera, and religious music. Liu Tianhua grew up with the melodious sounds of traditional Chinese stringed and woodwind instruments. He taught himself how to play the flute, and often carried one with him. In his father's eyes, he was somewhat frivolous. His father, Liu Baoshan, was a reformer who believed in new ideas and new things. He closed his private school and took part in founding the first new-style primary school in Jiangyin to use Western educational philosophies. Although open-minded, he was furious when 10-year-old Liu Tianhua brought home a huqin made of craft paper. He stomped on it fiercely. The huqin was originally an ancient instrument of an ethnic minority in northern China. It had a very low status compared with many traditional hand instruments. In the eyes of most musicians at the time, it was unrefined and unworthy of use. Yet since it was very easy to learn and produces enchanting sounds, the huqin was popular with ordinary people.
"弄一个竹筒，然后打一个草蛇，弄个蛇皮一蒙，再用马尾巴，这个做一弓子，就能拉起来。"
Later, the huqin became even more scorned because of its use by street singers and beggars. Liu Baoshan was furious because the huqin was considered a tool for begging. How could his son play it? Did he want to beg for a living in the future? The year Liu Tianhua graduated from primary school, his father fell ill and remained so for a long time. The family could no longer pay for Liu Tianhua's tuition. His father considered finding Liu Tianhua an apprenticeship to learn a craft. His elder brother, Liu Bannong, saved him from dropping out of school. At the beginning of the 20th century, China was facing domestic strife and foreign aggression. The community knew the importance of education to the national revival and founded new schools to disseminate new cultures. Jeongjo School is the predecessor of the Jeongjo Senior High School in Jiangsu province today. It's one of the earliest new schools in Jiangsu and Zhejiang areas. In 1907, the first group of students was admitted into the Jeongjo School. Liu Bannong scored the highest among thousands of candidates. After admission, Liu Bannong continued to receive excellent grades. As a reward, Liu Bannong was exempted from tuition and board expenses. Thanks to these additional savings, Liu Tianhua was able to continue his education. Afterwards, he was also admitted to the Jeongjo School. Today, statues of Liu Bannong and Liu Tianhua stand side by side on the campus. Yet when they were at school, Liu Tianhua was often referred to as Liu Bannong's younger brother. He lived under his brother's shadow. An alumnus recalls, Liu Tianhua worked extremely hard on everything. He was very persistent. Although Liu Tianhua worked so hard, he was never as good as his brother in academic studies. Luckily for him, there was another world waiting for him on campus. China lost the Opium War in 1840 to Britain. In 1860, British and French troops marched into Beijing and set the Summer Palace on fire. In 1895, China lost the Second Sino-Japanese War to Japan. Defeated and forced repeatedly to sign treaties to cede territories and pay indemnities, the Qing government had to admit it had fallen behind the West. It sought to learn from westernized Japan. One method was to introduce military-style brass bands, because some believed brass bands would boost morale and were one of the reasons for the victory of foreign troops. Therefore, the new schools of China began to set up brass bands. More than 100 years ago, Liu Tianhua played brass instruments in the campus band. From music courses and the campus band, young Liu Tianhua discovered peace of mind and a way to win respect. Through hard work, he quickly mastered all the instruments in the brass band and became a musical star. In 1911, the Xinhai Revolution against imperial rule broke out and spread across China. That year, Liu Bannong and Liu Tianhua had to return home because school was suspended.
半农天华他没拿到毕业文凭，他就是跟着当地所谓的革命军去参加革命的。当时待了一段，发现这个所谓军队是一个杂牌军，是乌合之众。
In the early spring of 1912, 17-year-old Liu Tianhua followed his brother Liu Bannong and left home again. This time, they were heading to a modern metropolis, Shanghai. At that time, a fashionable import, early modern drama, was very popular in Shanghai. Performers were allowed to improvise on the stage. The brothers found jobs in the most famous Enlightened Drama Club. Liu Bannong was a writer, and Liu Tianhua played the trumpet.
当时他们租了一个上海的一个亭子间，完了在冬天出去的时候，那时候要穿棉袍，兄弟俩只有一个棉袍，那么就是轮流出去，其他一个人留家里写东西。
Modern Shanghai was an eye-opener to Liu Tianhua. He had access to many trendy Western musical instruments. He took every opportunity to learn piano, violin, and other instruments. By this time, he had made up his mind to make music his career. Liu Bannong recalled, "Tianhua has chosen a career. His persistence and perseverance are beyond reach of anyone. He practices from dawn to night for tens of days without a break." That winter, Liu Tianhua returned to his home village for Chinese New Year. He was very glad to see that although Jeongjo is only 150 kilometers from Shanghai, the local people still celebrated the holiday by playing traditional stringed and woodwind instruments and watching traditional operas. Liu Tianhua had studied foreign instruments in Shanghai for a while, but he never discarded the old traditions. He said Western music has its beauty, but it was not as easily understood as Chinese music is to us. One year later, however, as he lost his job in Shanghai and returned to Jeongjo, he saw a completely different scenario. He later recalled a wide variety of Western musical instruments were on window display, while the choices of pipa, gongs, and drums were very limited. They looked like a few humble Chinese standing among a group of proud foreigners.
当时西方文化如潮水般的涌进了中国，成为了一种时尚。刘天华看见的这个是事实，一下子人们就一窝蜂的为杨侍从了。
Liu Tianhua worked as a primary school music teacher in his hometown. He spent his spare time learning Chinese folk music from local musicians. No one could understand why this young man, having seen the big city, would choose to go against the tide. This is an ancient vine in Liu Tianhua's hometown. While its lower part looks dead and withered, the upper part is lush and vibrant. Perhaps 100 years ago, it gave Liu Tianhua inspiration and courage to believe that China's ancestral legacies are still alive. Folk music will not die. It will shine again someday in the future. In the spring of 1915, after a long illness during which he could not afford treatment, Liu Baoshan died. The burden of repaying debts and supporting the whole family fell on the shoulders of 20-year-old Liu Tianhua. Yet Liu Tianhua was expelled from the primary school because of what was called his indecent behavior, including spending too much time with peddlers, menial servants, and so-called vulgar people from the countryside. Losing his father and his job at the same time, Liu Tianhua fell into depression. One day he bought an erhu for 20 cents. As his father had died, there would be no one to hate this beggar instrument. In fact, he considered himself no better than a beggar. With his 20-cent erhu, Liu Tianhua created his maiden work of erhu composition, The Sound of Agony. The original name of The Sound of Agony is Where to Go. China at that time was bullied and humiliated, just like Liu Tianhua. Perhaps most young students born in that era had experiences similar to that of the young China. They had to take on responsibilities at a young age. They had high hopes, but were constantly in agony and had no idea where to go.
This erhu composition, called The Sound of Agony, is terribly sad, isn't it? It was composed in the turbulent warlord period following the collapse of the Qing dynasty in 1911. Intellectuals in China were depressed as they struggled to chart China's future. Liu's music deeply resonated with them. Moreover, Liu added new concepts to his work, which brought out never-before-heard melodies and tones from the ancient instrument. Liu was encouraged by this success and decided to introduce even more changes.
His elder brother, Liu Bannong, helped the family repay its debts. For Liu Tianhua, the crisis finally passed. In the autumn of 1915, Liu Tianhua was hired as a music teacher of the Jeongjo Provincial 5th Middle School, his alma mater. While at school, Liu Tianhua immediately re-established the brass band and set up a Chinese folk music band.
他为什么要这两个乐队都去搞呢？因为他知道，那个管弦乐队有它的特色，中国的民族乐队也有它自己的特色。
Whenever he had time, Liu Tianhua toured across the country to learn different kinds of folk music. He said in a country desperately short of music, wealth, and talent, whichever musical instruments were able to bring people some spiritual comfort were valuable. During summer vacation in 1920, while studying the Chinese zither and collecting folk music in Hunan province. Liu Tianhua discovered a large boil on his back, so he had to return to Jeongjo to recuperate. One hot midsummer day, a student found Liu Tianhua playing the Chinese zither alone in the kitchen with his back to the oven. He asked why, and Liu Tianhua told him he was using the heat to ease his discomfort so he could focus on practicing the instrument. Liu Tianhua carried an erhu with him wherever he went. He had a special preference for the erhu among all musical instruments. He devoted most of his efforts to it. Liu Tianhua once said, Hu Qin was despised by people when Chinese folk music was prevailing. It was rarely discussed as an officially accepted type of musical instrument. Chinese folk music was facing the same situation. It was despised and rarely discussed. Liu Tianhua was challenging the impossible. It seems he had seen a day coming when erhu, Chinese folk music, and China were no longer reviled.
他的学生回忆录当中呢，曾经提到过，说有几天老师特别生气，情绪特别不好，然后呢，他就一摔手中的这个东西，就说谁说二胡不如小提琴，谁说二胡只能沿街乞讨。那过了几天以后，他就创作出了《悲歌苦闷之忧》这样的作品。
他有这个最大的方向目标，我要改造我的民族的东西。 让你外国人听着也能入耳，中国人喜欢的，外国人也喜欢的，这样就平起平坐。我不是老低你的。
In 1917, Principal Tai Yuan-pei of Peking University proposed an educational policy of freedom of thoughts and tolerance. Learned scholars gathered there. Peking University quickly became a holy land in the heart of Chinese literati. At that time, intellectual elites generally believed that Chinese people should embrace Western religious beliefs because religion can unite people and prevent them from falling behind. In April of that year, Tai Yuan-pei made a speech entitled Aesthetic Education to Replace Religion.
蔡元培先生觉得这个美育非常重要啊，就是与其你去信宗教，你不如你用更多的时间来学习艺术，
对国民进行普及性的美育、美的教育。所以他提出了以美育代宗教。
With the support of Principal Tai, art, music, and dance clubs were established in Peking University. He attached great importance to music. He not only personally served as president of the Music Association, but also invited pipa and guqin expert Wang Lu as a mentor to the club. Unfortunately, 2 years later, Wang died young. A chance came to Liu Tianhua. In 1922, 27-year-old Liu Tianhua left Jiangyin again. This time, he was ambitious to save Chinese folk music on a larger platform in Beijing. However, after he arrived at Peking University, Liu Tianhua discovered a tremendous gap between his ideal and reality. That year, Principal Tai requested that there be more concerts at Peking University.
人们崇尚音乐会，这是很新鲜的事情，有新文化，也可以说是有知识的、有文化的人，会慢慢会新范儿。
Concerts were organized by the Music Association of Peking University. Initially, half of the songs were Chinese folk music, and half were Western music. After Xiao Youmei, the first Chinese music PhD, returned from Germany and took part in the Music Association, there was less Chinese folk music in the concerts.
是由于社会不断前进吧，可能国乐的东西大家听着更觉得太传统了，洋乐越进来越多，所以会觉得洋乐更好听，啊，国乐不够。
中国人的当时的创作太少，像熊佛系说的，拉来拉去就是那么几个烂调。
Later, the Music Association of Peking University was renamed the Music Conservatory. A brass band was established. Once a trumpeter in the band couldn't make it, so Liu Tianhua took his place. In May 1923, the band was playing Beethoven's Sixth Symphony. While echoes of the Western Symphony were still lingering in the hall, the trumpeter put aside his trumpet and began to play a pipa, the Chinese lute. Crisp sounds glided through his fingers as he touched the strings. The audience was instantly attracted by the beautiful music. He played Autumn Moon over the Han Palace and received thunderous applause. From that night, the name Liu Tianhua spread rapidly on campus and across Beijing. Liu Tianhua, at 28 years old, was finally no longer referred to as Liu Bannong's younger brother. Beijing was a lofty, serene, and unsophisticated city back then. Liu Tianhua increasingly felt the old city fit with character. The other side of the Tianchao district is bustling and lively. Folk artists gathered here, a good place for Liu Tianhua to seek inspiration. From here, he absorbed many elements and skills of various folk instruments in his most beloved Erhu music.
你比如大雷，大幅度的滑音、仿声，二胡上就不能老用打滑音。
二胡上面它的音域不会超过1个8度，而且演奏方法也是极其简单，啊，那么显然刘天华对此呢是非常的不满足。
Finally, Liu Tianhua brought an erhu to the concert stage. If his own father found it unacceptable, how would students of Peking University respond to this vulgar instrument? In this concert, Liu Tianhua played the sounds of agony, the moonlit night, and chirping birds in the desolate mountain. The audience burst into booming applause every time he finished a tune. The Peking University students did not expect that a simple and crude instrument could convey such exquisite and rich emotions and require such complicated technique to play. Their praise of the erhu spread all over the campus.
得到了蔡元培先生的重视。后来呢，在北大设了二胡专业。
Tsai Yuanpei officially employed Liu Tianhua as an erhu teacher. Soon other colleges and universities in Beijing also invited Liu Tianhua to teach erhu courses. After being despised for hundreds of years, the erhu finally earned an equal position with the pipa, guqin, and other Chinese folk instruments.
二胡真正的登上大雅之堂，乃至于今天成为我们中国民族乐器的一个灵魂性的一个乐器，实际上就是从刘天华开始的。
The erhu used by Liu Tianhua in that concert is considered an icon of contemporary and modern Chinese music. From it, Liu Tianhua must have gained great confidence that if he could rescue the erhu from century-long discrimination, maybe he could do the same for Chinese folk music as part of the trend towards Westernization. To better absorb the essence of Western instruments and improve folk music, Liu Tianhua started a new study. Liu Tianhua believed that the violin is the most perfect Western stringed instrument and the closest to the erhu in emotional expression.
拜了一个名师，这个名师应该说，在当时中国不会有第二个比他水平更高的人，他叫托诺夫。 他是圣彼得堡音乐学院。
He studied very hard, as he had beside the oven in his old house. Liu Tianhua was already 30 years old. He practiced 6 to 7 hours a day, sometimes up to 10 hours. Melodious sounds of the violin flew from his house, and he kept at it for more than 3 years.
北大各个高校闹欠薪是很有名的，但就为了坚持小提琴的专业的这个课程，他是每周必须上课的，所以有时候举债去交学费。有一次实在再也没借到，就把一块很好的金表就当场送给老师作为学费。
With talent and diligent practice, Liu Tianhua achieved rapid improvements in his violin skills. He was already a first-class violinist in China at the time and was offered a third job by Peking University as a violin teacher.
He 其实他并不是想成为小提琴家，而是他想要借助西洋音乐中间最成熟的那些优秀的那些经验来改进我们的国乐。
Through studies and references to violin techniques, Liu Tianhua improved the shape and playing techniques of the erhu, making it more expressive and suitable to play almost all violin compositions.
二胡现在它的地位不亚于小提琴在西洋音乐中地位。那么我想这个是天华先那个历史性的贡献。
Like you hold an egg.
Ah.
Yeah, like this. And, see. Yeah, better sound, right?
This is the improved erhu, designed by Liu Tianhua and commonly used by musicians today in China. This instrument dates back more than 1,000 years. It was created by the Hu, nomad tribes then living in northern China. It has 2 strings, thus it is called the erhu. Er means 2 in Chinese. It is similar to the violin, but with a more limited range.
There are several parts of erhu, and here you can see these parts are just the sting, the tongue, and here it is the main structure, and here this is the bow, and here is the bow here. This is made of the house tail. Yeah, and here it is a very important part of our hu. And you can see this one, it is made of, you guess what it is?
Snakeskin.
Yes, it is. When I play, the bow moves and string moves, and here the bridge moves. Then the sound comes from here and comes from here. Then the audience can hear the sound.
The unique low-pitched sound of the erhu resembles the human voice singing a song. It always carries a tinge of sadness and expresses deep feelings.
Liu Tianhua spent 2 more years improving another Chinese musical instrument, the pipa. He added mobile frets, making its tones closer to Western instruments, and its production and performance more scientific and standard. In 1929, before Peking opera master Mei Lanfeng embarked on a performance tour abroad, he specially invited Liu Tianhua to transcribe the scores of his arias in classic Western musical notation. It was the first time modern Chinese opera was ever documented in this way.
把梅兰芳的唱腔记录下来，那是很难的呀，对吧？那是很难的。
他当时的记谱的方法是一边听一边以小提琴来模仿，模仿他的唱腔，因为小提琴它的这个音域比较宽嘛。
没有一种追求，没有一种功力，一个是不想做，还有你想做未必能做到呀。
Mei Lanfeng's show was a huge success in the United States. The West had its first glimpse of the beauty of Chinese Peking opera, and the participation by Liu Tianhua revealed another path for him to improve Chinese folk music. He transcribed Chinese folk songs, opera, and religious music in Western music notation. He composed and published etude books for the erhu and pipa. Although Liu Tianhua had never studied abroad, he made the study of folk music easier to spread and popularize by referencing teaching methods used in Western music.
他不仅让二胡的教育要走向专业化，同时他也做一些普及的教育。他的这样的一种发展理念呢，是让二胡能够扎根民间，同时又能够走向专业化的道路。
More than 100 years ago, Chinese folk music was losing favor with more and more students. Thanks to Liu Tianhua's etudes, music lovers can practice anywhere at any time, which greatly improves learning efficiency. Like seeds of fire, it continued the life of folk music and lit up the path for Chinese music. Today, Chinese folk music is in full bloom. It's hard to imagine what it would have been like if Liu Tianhua had not helped this music survive and develop through a very difficult time by attracting and teaching musical talents with the aid of modern Western educational methods. Without him, we wouldn't be able to hear such beautiful music in China. Today, few people know the many difficulties Liu Tianhua faced when rejuvenating Chinese folk music. On the one hand, he was looked down upon by Western music experts, and on the other hand, he was considered a capitulator or even a traitor by traditional musicians.
那个时期应该是有2种观念，一个是国粹主义，就是要原汁原味的，不能改变的，拒绝外来的其他的一切因素。那么另外一个呢，就是照搬，他要照搬外来的。
一个人能够独立寒秋啊，坚持自己的美学追求、音乐主张。
In these situations, close friends became significantly more precious. Jeongjo was a piano professor who returned to China after studying overseas. He often partnered with Liu Tianhua on a concerto that uses both Chinese and Western instruments. Jeongjo studied engineering and art. He had a deep knowledge of Chinese classics. He understood, endorsed, admired, and supported Liu Tianhua's ideal goal of improving Chinese folk music. He once said to Liu Tianhua, "Neither Principal Tai Yuanpei nor Mr. Xiao Youmei are as fully committed and determined to improve Chinese folk music as you. You are the only one willing to give up your life for it." In the autumn of 1926, to support its war efforts, the Beiyang government, which controlled northern China, cut the education budget by more than half. Salaries for teachers in Beijing were suspended for months. During this period, Liu Tianhua's youngest daughter died suddenly. With no savings, Liu Tianhua could not even afford to bury her.
杨宗纬拿出一样东西，是他夫人结婚的手镯，黄金的，纯金手镯，交给田怀修，说拿去你先度过这段困难。田怀先执意的不收，他当场掰断以后，送给田怀先生，说这个手镯你看我拿回去没用，你马上就把它当了。
Jeongjo once said, "Tianhua is often seen standing alone. Yet people do not know that there is no person other than him trying to connect Chinese music with Western music." In 1927, warlord Jeongjo took over the Beijing regime. The Beiyang government closed down the Peking University Music Conservatory because it lacks social decency and is a waste of state money. Liu Tianhua suddenly lost his job. Losing his daughter and his job, being misunderstood and criticized, Liu Tianhua felt miserable. The Erhu composition, Ode to Dejection, reflects his mood at the time. Jeongjo was soon chased off. The music conservatory was restored, and Liu Tianhua was able to return to the university. The Song of Improvement is Liu Tianhua's Pipa composition. Improving Chinese folk music was an everlasting ideal in his heart.
在他的这首作品之前，中国民族器乐当中是没有进行曲的。我们会发现，他饱含热情写了这么一首作品。在今天，我们也许会看到他可能并不是很复杂的创作技巧，但是他的那种昂扬的那种充沛的精神，那种信念，让我们今天在演奏的时候依然会为之所感动。
Liu Tianhua's unremitting efforts finally paid off. More and more people began to recognize and agree to his method and philosophy for improving Chinese folk music. He was no longer alone. In May 1927, Liu Tianhua set up the Traditional Chinese Music Improvement Society in Beijing to collect, sort, and research traditional music, improve folk instruments, compose folk music, and edit music publications.
它是一种开放和自信的，它就是要把中西音乐的这个调和、合作当中呢，去打出一条新路来，能够开辟一片天地。而且他的理想是要让中国音乐与世界音乐并驾齐驱，
为民族器乐吧找到了一个可以前进的一条道路。而且呢，确实是我们后来整个民族器乐发展的道路，就是刘天华道路。
3 years later, a night in 1930, Chinese and foreign celebrities gathered at the Beijing Hotel to attend a music concert, during which Liu Tianhua demonstrated his achievements in modernizing traditional Chinese music. More than 100 years ago, Liu Tianhua had already begun to explore how to interpret Chinese aesthetics to Westerners in a language they understand. In China, there is a saying, honing a blade gives a sharp edge to a sword, while bitter cold adds fragrance to plum blossoms. When Liu Tianhua finished the last song, cheers and applause echoed in the hall. That night, Liu Tianhua had to answer 9 curtain calls. A German expert in Oriental cultural history said, "This is the birth of China's new music, the best hope of the revival of Chinese music."
他的作品当中有对传统的音乐文化、音乐语言和中国人的情怀的这样的一种非常恰当的抒发。那么同时呢，他也在他的音乐作品当中，透过他对西洋作曲技术的学习，对西洋乐器演奏的学习，使得他能够大胆的去借鉴、去拓展。那么他这样的一种大胆的拓展和他深入民间传统的继承和学习，形成了他的音乐作品当中独特的价值和魅力。
In 1931, Liu Tianhua composed Marching on the Bright Road to express his vision of bright prospects for Chinese folk music. However, Liu Tianhua didn't get to see the day when Chinese folk music became really prosperous. In 1932, Liu Tianhua contracted scarlet fever while collecting folk music elements in Beijing. He died 7 days later after medical treatment failed. Today, the Department of Chinese Folk Music is a standard department among China's 11 music conservatories. The education of students in Chinese folk music has been given unprecedented attention. All kinds of folk music performances are put on and constantly renewed. Like the Erhu, after 100 years, China has also changed its fate from being a culture that was despised, excluded, and left behind. However, nearly a century ago, China's ancient yet weak culture was seriously diminished by the increasing dominance of Western civilizations. When most people lost confidence, one man believed the impossible might one day be possible. He chose to stand alone in the depths of agony so that he could push the confused and the hopeless out of the darkness. He struggled immensely, but never looked back. Like the old Chinese expression, he was a mantis trying to stop a chariot. His name was Liu Tianhua.
Sadly, Liu Tianhua died at the age of 37, when he was at the peak of his artistry. His life was short, but he is recognized as a true master in Chinese national music. His accomplishments brought a humble folk instrument to the concert hall. His works are still frequently performed in concerts and broadcast on radio and television. He improved the tone and broadened the range of the erhu, making it into a solo instrument. In a way, he revolutionized and saved the instrument. Bringing traditional Chinese music to the world stage was Liu Tianhua's wish. Although he did not live to see that wish come true, he pioneered its development.